Hi everybody, my name is Brenda Lee Kitchen and tune into this because we want to know, is Lloyd Parrott another performing politician? What are your thoughts? Happy May 24th weekend, May 17th, and you're going out to Bay. Hope you're having a really awesome May 2-4 and and you're just sitting back, relaxing, kicking up. The rain stopped here on the West Coast. And tonight we're going to talk about if Lloyd Parrott, they're trying to make him look like the hero on the PC side. And I want to look a little bit farther into Lloyd Parrott when it comes to the proposed wind energy to hydrogen mega projects. And let's talk about it. Is he just another performing politician? I'd love to hear your opinion on that. I'm going to be sharing some emails, and you'll be interested to see what he's been saying. Okay. Yeah. So I just want to say welcome and thank you to everybody, and just know that I appreciate you very, very much, and all your hard work all over. I mean, I'm telling you, there's people involved in Protect NL from all across the province. There's people not involved in Protect NL, and they're still standing up and fighting. We're still communicating. There's strategy. I know that it might seem like it's quiet on the front, but it's not. There's a lot happening in the backgrounds. And we have been writing Lloyd Parrott. We've been getting some answers, and I'm going to share some of that here tonight. And I want to know what you think. Is he a performing politician? Hey, this is great seeing some people popping in here to see the live. I really appreciate it. Ariam, let me know if I got that pronounced right. Or, yeah, definitely something about him. I know I had high hopes that, I'm still looking for the fighting Newfoundlander, right? In these politicians. I don't believe that they're all bad or misguided, I should say. Bad sounds more like a judgmental word, but, misguided. But people who have clearly forgotten why they are there. And I keep looking for the good politicians, 100%. I do feel that there's still some out there. Hey, Howard. Hi, Harley. This is great. Hi, Christy. James Young. Awesome. James, thank you for all that you do for Newfoundland and Labrador with your Facebook group. Hey, Peggy. Linda. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I just want to also thank you for all the action that you've been taking, inviting people to the Protect NL Facebook group, the letters, the emails, and now we really need to focus on taking physical action, okay? Always peaceful, always peaceful. I'm going to get in about Lloyd Parrott now in just a minute, but I also just want to remind people as well that we can really win back Newfoundland and Labrador for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, but you got to be sassy. And like I told you, you got to have the stamina to fight this fight. Is very important because it's going to be, we've been doing this now 3 to 4 years, but there's things happening all over the island now. People are getting some traction. Sometimes it can take a little bit of time, but look at Richard Dewey and Deer Lake here in Bay St. George South. They're getting some traction finally, taking on New World Dairy, a big dairy farm in the area. So people are standing, people are coming together. It just takes a bit of time, so you got to have stamina. You've got to take action. A and sassy, you've got to take action. Think about what that's going to be for you. Always keep it peaceful. But action, while Facebook is good to help raise awareness, it has to be more than just Facebook, okay? Strategy is good. The next S in sassy, you got to have strategy, which is why we're hoping people will be working with us. We're very blessed to have so many people with us across the island. It really does help show unity as well when you can strategize your approach. Just think how, you're attacking Goliath, and Goliath is a giant. People could just run at him aimlessly and throw stones, or you could be strategic and everybody could be throwing their stones in the same area, right, where there's a weakness, right to the groin. But that's what happens when you work together. The punches are more efficient. They make more impact. S specifics, you got to be able to go back with specifics, not just that you don't like the project. You got to go back and say exactly why. For us, one of the many, many reasons is the setback distance. Which we talked to Lloyd Parrott about. We believe setback distance should be at least 15 kilometers or more from residential homes in order to minimize negative health impacts. We can't get the government to discuss that at all. So you got to go to stick your specifics and know that yes, you can. And yes, we can win this. So stay sassy yet classy if we want to win this. So no matter your approach, make sure that you're always respectful, always peaceful, and always lawful. And that's what we have been. And even though we've been taken to court, that we did not break the law, but you have to be willing to take action like that to force or influence the government's hand. It's all a part of, we never should have been arrested that day, but regardless, we worked it into our favor for sure. Nice to see so many people tuning in. Sometimes on Sundays we'll get up to 20 people or more tuning in, but by the end of the week we could be hitting over 1,000, 2,000 people. So when I get off this live, please share, share, share. Okay, so the one more thing before I jump into Lloyd Parrott, but if you are available, it's really important that you consider taking action June 2nd, 3rd, or 4th in St. John's. There's an Energy and L conference. We've had people outside this conference for the past 2 years. And if you are there, boots on the ground, you can tell people the true story of what's actually happening here in Newfoundland and Labrador. The people do not consent specifically to your area. Show them maps. I mean, when we were there, we were shown the Everett maps, and people in wind energy, they knew that those turbines were too close together. They knew it. So you keep educating and you keep telling them that you do not consent. You have to be like a broken record. And it's really important that those people who live in these impact areas, you have a very strong voice and you need to be outside this conference if possible. Ravi Sood, the company, the guy in charge of Everett, that's the company moving ahead with a hydrogen plant, wind turbines, and apparently they also want a solar farm. This is all happening in Central, and the hydrogen plant will be right in Botwood. So this is this guy is going to be there on June 4th. So if you're from Central, carpool, make your way in there and make sure that you make those investors know that people aren't going to be quiet. It's not going to be easy for them, and make this company uncomfortable. That's what you have to do. You have to take strategic action. All right, let's jump into, and then we will be back there. I won't be in for the Energy and L conference. I just can't do it. I'm a caregiver. I can't leave my dad for that long, but I'll be back into St. John's for June 25th for court. And I promise you that I will take another action. So this is how important it is to be working together. You're going to be there. Hopefully people will be there June 4th. Makes our presence known. And then I'm there June 25th. Again, making our presence known. This is how we can work together and show that we have, a unified front and a very loud voice. All right. Hey, it's great to see so many people popping in here. Hey, Connie. Nice to see you. Aaron, Derek, Diane. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm going to jump right into the documents that I have here. We all remember how excited we got back on February 19th when a press release came out from Energy and Mines. And this is the press release that came out from Energy and Mines. And this is when Lloyd Parrott led us to believe that 3 companies in particular all lost their lease on the Crown lands that they had to develop their wind to hydrogen mega projects on. And that's the quote, and I'm going to read that out to you right now. But I think that it's it's very clear. I don't see, it's not like we're not understanding what's happening or what they're saying. It actually says there, due to the lack of progress and non-payment of Crown Lands Reserve fees, the Crown Lands Reserves for World Energy GH2 Limited Partnership, Everwind NL Company, so Everwind's the company on the Burin Peninsula, and I can't pronounce this one, but is otherwise is a company called ABO, and that's down in Placentia Bay area, I believe. They will not be extended beyond February 28th, 2026. Doesn't it sound like they've lost their Crown lands? They're saying that the land reserves will not be extended beyond February 28th, 2026. And then at the end of this news article, this is available on the government website, there are 2 maps provided. Okay? So they provide two maps to add clarity. So this is the wind land reserve up to February 28th. And you can see down on the Burin Peninsula, all that shaded area, that is Everwind. The shaded area just above the Burin Peninsula, that's ABO. And on the west coast of the island, all that shaded area, Burgeo, Cape Anguille, Long Range Mountains, and Port Peninsula, that's all World Energy GH2. And then up more central, that is Everett. So this is all the wind energy land, the crown lands that was out to wind energy before up to February 28th. And then they also have another map that went with that press release to further clarify that this crown lands is not going to be extended, right? So this is the updated map to show the wind energy land reserve as of March 1st. And they show us a map where all the companies are, except for Everett, and they tell us in their release that Everett is moving forward. So Everett is still there, but all the other ones are gone, right? They're showing us all the other companies aren't there anymore. Okay, so like, is it just me, or would that lead us to believe that these companies lost rights to the land? And you know, Lloyd Parrott spoke to NTV about it. He was the person up front and center. And again, his quote. And the reason why we've cut them off is because there was no progress, little to no progress, due to lack of progress and non-payment of Crown Lands reserve fees. And we actually lost $34.5 million to these companies in lost Crown Land reserve fees. So we got nothing in place to protect us. All that land tied up in companies that may or may not pursue anything, when you could have had a company, you know, that might have been good, proposing something smaller, more manageable, but they took up, you know, like there's nothing, they got nothing, they're not thinking. Government thought, you know, they were, we all know that they rushed into this. It was based on backdoor dealings up at Riffle and Lodge with Andrew Fury and John Risley, and we look at where John Risley's to today. So this was all about backdoor deals. It wasn't built on anything good or with good intention for the people. And now we got Andrew Parsons involved with Everett, which is the company still moving forward. And we got Lloyd Parrott leading us to believe with this press release and those two maps that this is the only area that's gone to wind energy, right? Like, that's how I read it. Okay. I know, Gene, right? It's crazy. So I'm really happy with this move. Like, anything that can, like, I realize, so I'm hearing all this story, right? And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, anything that can make the companies uncomfortable or delay them or cost them more money or make them look bad. Maybe they won't be able to get investors. This is all good for us the people, right? Because we're delaying the project. Eventually they just might pull out and go on. But boys, oh boys, they're still hanging on. And we keep watching now, because you can't, the government has pushed us in a place where we just no longer feel that we can trust them. Look at all the steps that we've seen to get us to this place, that they've taken to get us here, right? So we're watching to see some evidence, something to show us. Now, you would think the map would be enough to prove that these companies are gone. But luckily, Protectinel and Newfoundland and Labrador were smart people. This is where we have an edge on the government. They really do think these people that are trying to manipulate us. Now, I say the government, but I still believe that there's good people in there. But the majority of the people in government, it appears that they are misguided. And, you know, this would lead us to believe that that we would be able to sorry, I just had a bunch of messages come in on my phone. People are still, okay, sorry, shake that off, shake it off. So we got to this place now where we can't really trust, we feel like we can't trust the majority of the people that we've come in contact with now with the government. Is that fair to say? And so we're keeping an eye to see if we can find anything else that can back up and confirm that these projects have been canceled. We want World Energy gone. We don't want to deal with everyone anymore. They're liars. They lie to your face. There was all kinds of dirty dealings happening to get those companies in place. And Newfoundland and Labrador, we are rich in resources. We do not have to deal with companies that are going to lie to our face the way that those two companies did. Now, I don't know much about ABO, but I do know directly about the dirty dealings that's happening with those companies. And unless there's a company coming here with pure intentions, they're not welcome. Period. We don't have to compromise. Again, like, we are the kings and the queens. We hold the cards. That's the thing, right? So we are very, very lucky that we have smart people all across our island. Yes, they think that we're dumb. Yes, they think that we're easy to pull the wool over our eyes. And you know what? For the most part, there are a lot of us. Very easy to pull the wool over our eyes. Some people aren't very nice about it. Like, you'll see, sometimes you'll see insults going back and forth, calling people sheep. But there's just that there's people that are too trusting. They got hope that the government is going to come true for us. And they want it to work out. It's very, very challenging. It's a challenging situation. But Paul Pike, we're very lucky that he was like a dog with a bone, and that's where we have to be the same way. We've got to have the stamina to stay on it. And Paul wrote Lloyd Parrott as well as Christopher Tibbs, another minister, and he asked them, and I'm going to read you the email that Paul wrote them on Wednesday, April 29th, and he says, Minister Tibbs, I am writing to ask what is the current status of the proposed wind hydrogen projects of ABO, Everwind, and World Energy GH2, now that the land reserves have been terminated due to non-repayment fees. I have looked on the website and do not see where they have been withdrawn from consideration. So that's a good question, right? Pretty straight to the point. You guys said that these projects lost their rights to the Crown land, so, shouldn't the project be withdrawn? They got no land, so why do they, put the land back into play or take it off altogether? So, Paul's response, and I won't read it all out, but they're basically all the same. But I'll read World Energy GH2 because that's the one that we seem to know the most about, and we all see what's going on with John Risley. And I'd like to think that no matter where we stand on these wind energy projects, all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians should want our province to do business with upstanding people who are going to follow through on their deals. And John Risley is not one of them, which means World Energy is not one of them. World Energy should be gone. So it says, Dear Paul Pike, on behalf of the minister, thank you for your email. So this is Eric Watton, okay? And Eric Watton is the guy that when you're sending in your questions and concerns to the Department of Environment, he's the one getting all that. He is the senior environmental scientist. And he says, the World Energy GH2 project to which you refer is the Port-to-Port Stephenville Wind Power and Hydrogen Generation Project. And it provides the website. The project was released from environmental assessment on April the 9th, 2024, which is just another fancy way of saying the project was approved because it met all the environmental concerns, so it was released from the environmental assessment. The decision remains in effect for a period of 3 years, which may be extended for a maximum of 3 periods of 1 year. So Eric Watton, and this was copied to the Chris Tibbs, Eric Watton saying that these projects are still in the play. Paul asked him specifically about them being off the table. So what's going on here? Lloyd Parrott told us that the projects were, Crown lands was not being extended. So does he mean that the Crown lands is not being extended beyond the 3 years? Is this the wordsmithing? Is this the silliness that we got to really pick this apart? Would that be his response? So, like, because we're under the impression that this is over, they've lost their crown lands immediately. They're not paying. They lost their crown lands, right? They're off the map. So what's going on here? He's just a performing politician in my eyes, but I'd love to hear what you think. So I'm trying to end at 8:30 now. I feel a half an hour is long enough for anybody to to listen. But I hope that you're getting a lot from this. And then we had Linda Brockerville from the Burin Peninsula. Thank you, Linda, for your emails. And one thing Linda is really good for, because people are starting to get really good at sending emails, but then they get a response from the government, and then they just kind of leave it. Like, this is what they told me. But you've got to get good at going back. So you almost got to have this back and forth so that you can really nail down some specifics in your letters. And Linda's doing a really great job. So she wrote Lloyd Parrott, and she asked him some very specific points. Okay? Stuff about community consent. How do you justify moving forward without that consent? Definition of collaboration. That's supposed to be about going back and forth, right? That's about, not just about us you talking to us. We specifically ask about the setback distance, because we have huge concerns about that. Specifically asking about the financial terms. I mean, they're horrible. And asking about the legislation, the environmental legislation that Andrew Parsons said in the House of Assembly in response to a petition signed by over 3,000 Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, stating that, look, put these projects on a halt immediately until there's renewable energy legislation. And he said there would be renewable energy legislation. This is in November 2024. And it would be available in a couple weeks. So, that's been 2 years ago. What is Lloyd Parrott getting on with? Hey, everybody, seeing people popping in there. Really appreciate it. Yeah, that's right, Christy. Left arm don't know what the right arm is doing. At least stick with the same story. What's the story? Or is this about wordsmithing? Will they lose the land after, like this? They shouldn't have the land anymore. They never paid the fees. The land should be open to other people. So why isn't it? According to Eric Watton, it's not. They have it for 3 years, which means they haven't gone anywhere. Which means Lloyd Parrott is just crowing. We got a parrot that's crowing. What's going on here? Call him out. Ask him questions. Be respectful, but, hold it to him. Hey, Margie. So nice to see you here. Hey, Raymond. Hey, Morris. Morris is saying there's something going on in Port-au-Port. I see a lot of companies going past my place. The Port-au-Port is, no doubt about it, they want you, and they want you bad. They look at the map in Newfoundland, and they're just salivating, these elites. They're just drooling all over the place looking at the Port-au-Port Peninsula. You guys are so rich in oil and minerals. And probably other stuff, too, that I don't know about. They want you so bad. So anybody out there that can be pumping you or getting what they can from you now, no doubt about it, they will be. Yeah, I really feel that you're probably the main area that these companies want, even more than any of the other wind farms. If they can get that wind farm going through on the Port-au-Port Peninsula, they may not even bother with the other ones. Who knows? Because they want you so bad, because it's more about wind turbines. That's right, Pinocchio is Pinocchio. So Lloyd writes Linda back, so she gets a response back. Well, hallelujah, May 13th. And I say hallelujah because everybody was getting form letters in the beginning, remember? People were sharing the letters they were getting back from different people. It's all the same letters that we saw before. It was absolutely ridiculous. So don't tell me they don't be watching what we're talking about. They are. And thank goodness they finally moved away from these form letters, because it was ridiculous and we were seeing their tricks. So Lloyd discusses, he puts this stuff in numerical order, just like Linda did. And he discusses community consent, but at no time does he actually discuss consent. At no time. All he talks about is how people have an opportunity to submit comments, submit questions, but we never get answers. Nobody ever answers us. It don't make sense. Like, and he does not address the fact that he doesn't address consent at all. He says community perspectives are an important consideration of government in the development of wind energy projects. This is a legislative process that provides opportunities for interested stakeholders to submit comments. This is the same thing Lisa Dempster said when we wanted to be a part of the legislation creation. Oh, you can submit your comments. Well, no, we don't want to just submit our comments. We want to have a dialogue. Collaboration is about dialogue. At no point does he address the actual consent. So now, like, the suggestion would be that Linda would go back to him and push it just a little bit farther. Hopefully he'll keep writing her, get more information, and really force him to think about what he's saying. I mean, you can't ignore the voice of democracy while we're still in a democracy. But no doubt about it, if the people don't stand and be strong on the fact that we are, and insist that we are still in a democracy, and insist that their voices be heard, then people who want to be in charge and making these poor decisions are just going to run right over us, and they're going to manipulate what democracy is, and it's terrible. So we're in a democracy, but we have to fight for our democratic rights. Definition of collaboration. He does agree that it is an ongoing two-way process. So at this point, it would be a good opportunity. Linda can ask for a meeting. Call him out, right? He talks about land use, residential impacts, and existing industries, but at no point does he discuss the setback distance. At no point. And we can post the letter here below when I get off, if that's okay with Linda. I'll double check. But he doesn't address anything about he doesn't address it. There's lots of word salad, okay? So she asked him about the financial deals, and we're getting close to 8:30, so I'm gonna keep. I guess got 2 more points to make, okay? She brings up the financial terms and resource, and he says that he defends it. The framework design includes fees payments occurring earlier in the project, including land fees, water use fees, and a wind electricity tax. But I don't know how that's earlier in the project, because the water use fees, they only have to pay when it's they start to make a profit. So I'm not sure how that's up front. A wind electricity tax, I must have I must have missed that somehow. I don't know of any wind electricity tax. We're getting some nice sunset here now coming through the window. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. And they also talk about renewable energy legislation. He says that they're looking at the renewable energy legislation, and that they're reviewing it now. But he doesn't give us any opportunity to discuss or meet with him. And there's no discussion on the setback distance. He ends with, government remains committed to transparent decision making and ongoing public communication as these projects advance. So I'll remind you that until there is some sort of renewable energy legislation in place, there's nothing in place that is going to make sure these companies got money up front for decommissioning. We've already lost out at $34 million. If we had renewable energy legislation in place, maybe we would have something there to protect us so that we wouldn't have lost out on $34 million. Because maybe we could have caught them. Why did we wait till it got to $34 million? Why not wait? Why keep extending the deadline? You know, if you're going to be a pushover, you're not going to be a very good business person if you're going to be a pushover like that. I mean, it's one thing to let $100 or $200 or even $500 go, but $34 million when you could have been making that off of other companies is ridiculous. One more thing I'm going to remind you is, and I'm going to show you this beautiful sunset that I can see. It's just gorgeous coming in there now, so hang on. I just want to remind you of one more thing, okay? In the House of Assembly back in November 2024, we were there. We were having a protest outside that week. Our petition was presented by Pauline, over 3,000 signatures from people all asking for these wind, all renewable projects, solar projects too. There's no legislation in place to protect us with these solar projects either. And right now, just to throw out there, Triple Point Resources, there's no legislation for them either. I just saw somebody come on from at home. Hey Rose, love you very much. You're very kind and respectful. Appreciate that. But they don't know if Triple Point Resources is a mining project or an energy project. And if it's considered an energy project, they don't have to be putting money up front to protect us. They don't have to put any money up front for land rehabilitation, because there's no legislation in place making them do that. So in November 2024, Andrew Parsons stood in the House of Assembly and said, you will, and this is directly from the meeting minutes. I went in and printed off the minutes from the House of Assembly. You will see renewable energy legislation in this House in the coming weeks that will deal with every different development and stage from start to finish, from project planning, project operations, decommissioning, rehabilitation, and the full gamut will be there. It will be discussed in this House. It will be debated in this House. It will be questioned in this House. And he goes on to say the taxpayer is not going to be on the hook for this. That was back in November 2024. These projects need to be stopped immediately until that legislation is in place, because as of right now, there's nothing in place to protect us when the project planning, the project operations, the decommissioning. He's saying it right here. Rehabilitation. They ruined the fishery. Who's going to compensate the fishermen? They put the cart before the horse because of greedy, grubby fingers like Andrew Parsons and Andrew Fury doing dirty backdoor deals up at Rifflin Lodge. They pushed it ahead. They went whole hog. They weren't in the right position. They claimed that they were trying to be leaders in green energy, which was just foolishness, because we're so behind in green energy that we're leaders in oil and gas. Yes, I'll give us that. But we're not leaders in renewable energy. But we are. That gives us an advantage that we're at a point where we can. That got us at a point where we can look at what's happening and we can learn what's happening. Okay, at what's happening around us. And I'll remind you as well, at that time in the House of Assembly, when that was happening, Andrew Parsons. It'll say here that he ran out of time, right? So he says, I just want to confirm, do I have leave? And then the minute says some honorable members leave, and the speaker says, okay. And then Parsons continue. I just want you to know that Lloyd Parrott was banging on the table. He was one of the people banging on the table to give Andrew Parsons more time to talk in the House of Assembly, not about the wind energy projects, but to trash the people standing outside that House of Assembly and to trash the people that brought forward that petition. And Lloyd Parrott was cheerleading that. And we got to wonder if Everett is moving ahead because Andrew Parsons is one of those lobbyists, right? Like it's very suspicious. So this is what we wanted to discuss here tonight. I really want to, I'm going to show you the sunset right quick because I noticed, yes, it did leave my face, but I'd like for you to see it. And it is a bit cloudy where it was a little bit cloudy. Can you see that? It'll never show it never takes the same on a, I don't know if you can see that very well, but I'm just trying to show you and just a moment ago it was just so glorious. We've got a lot of cloud here today. We did have showers on and off, but yeah, so this is what we're dealing with, right? Like they want you to think that Lloyd Parrott is our hero and he's our fighting Newfoundlander and he's gonna come in and he's gonna save the day and he was a tough guy and he told these companies, hey, you don't have your money paid, you don't get to keep that land. All right, they show us these maps. It's just like a magician, right? Look at this hand, while I switch the nut and the ball with this hand, right? But that's what they're doing, is a distraction. And thank goodness for people like Paul Pike who continue to investigate it further so that he actually got it in writing. And, Eric Watton told him up front that World Energy GH2 still got the land. So what is going on here? So come on, Lloyd. So can we, with continued pressure and action on our end, Could we be the ones to influence the hand of government? I believe that we have influenced the hand of government. I believe that if the people, and I don't say we like being protected now, I mean we being the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, all across Newfoundland and Labrador, who have participated in any sort of pushback, whether it be Facebook, emails, protests, talking to your neighbor over tea, getting 4 or 5 signatures for the petition. You got to know that that is how you wins, is every little bit counts. You don't have to be, beat up at the Confederation building at a 5-day protest, but you got to have a hard look in the mirror, and you got to ask yourself, like, look, man, you know that what's happening in Newfoundland and Labrador is wrong, and it's time for you to start pushing. And what's your action going to be? Because we got people like Lloyd, Parrott playing this magician game, right? So it's only going to be the people of Newfoundland and Labrador that's going to haul these people in line and influence them. So please, please, please consider taking action. It's very personal choice on what your action is going to be. I keep doing whatever I can, and I'm so glad that there's so many more people involved. And remember that you are smart, you are brilliant. They want you to think that you're a stupid Newfoundlander. They want you to think that they wanted us to think they were all done deals in the beginning. Remember how many times that was chanted over and over? It's a done deal, it's a done deal, it's a done deal. They were trying to brainwash us to not even try to fight back because it was a done deal. But I think it's obvious now that it was not a done deal, and that the people's voice is very important, and we can influence the hand of government. They may not like it. They got a playbook that they're using. It's really obvious, that we're seeing. We can the dirty D's and deflection is one of them. Like they arrested us. This is all the bullying of the people telling the truth. These are all just plays from the same old playbook. But the people have a playbook too. Okay, we take action. We're working together to write emails. We do petitions. You've got to have strategic action from people boots on the ground as well. That's key. Government can ignore Facebook unless there becomes so many of us that it hurts them at the polls, which is why we got to keep getting our numbers up there. It's all about being elected next year. It's all about trying to make their legacy and whatever is guiding them on this crazy path. I love that, Pinocchio. You're so right. All right, I'm going to get ready to go. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in here tonight. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend, a nice, peaceful weekend. I know that I had a wonderful, I even had a nap today. It was so good. It was awesome. And I truly love Newfoundland and Labrador. And, I've seen a lot of shit since this started, and I've seen a weird side of people. But I know that also people are really good people. The people of Newfoundland and Labrador deserve better. We sure do deserve better, and we can get better as long as we keep demanding better. But you got to be sassy. You got to have the stamina. You got to take action. You got to have some sort of strategy, and you have to be able to talk at least some specifics. Not just that you don't like it, but just pick one. Pick one reason. Setback distance for me is never mind the shitty financial deals, but setback distance. People are going to get. I really think people are going to get sick, and the evidence is there. And with already healthcare in crisis, adding another 2,000 people at a temporary work camp for like 3 to 5 years, that's too much. It's just too much. People aren't thinking this through, and we still have time to get ahead of it. So we got to keep taking action. So what will your action be? My dear, you got to get past that, okay? You keep bringing it up, and I'm really sorry that we ever deleted a comment. We try our best to be fair and have a respectful place. I don't think the word was shit, but hey, you probably got a screenshot, so if you want to send it to me, let's keep the conversation going. But we'll try to be as fair as we can online. And yeah, so sorry if you got offended at my SHIT. Thank you very much, Margie. I appreciate that. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Lola, for being here. Ken Manning, awesome, awesome. Yeah, so 8:41. I think that's lots of time to be listening to me going on and on. And but it's a lot of effort from a lot of people. I'm just one of my roles is to be the spokesperson, the coordinator. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. I'm no lady. Nobody prepared me for this. And there's going to be people all across the island now, especially the people in Central. They need to be taking action. They need to start rising up. I know that, nobody, for some, like, I don't see myself as a leader. Like, people are like, oh, the leader's got to do this, the leader's got to do that. Like, look amongst yourselves, because there's no leaders coming to save us. It's each other. We're all having to come together there now, and it's going to be up to each other to save us. So if you're looking for a leader to save us, you best go looking in the mirror, because you're on that list, okay? But none of us wanted to be in these positions and take the punches like we are every single day. It's been crazy. Well, not every day, that's an exaggeration. But sometimes I feels like it's a little bit too much. But I promise you that we'll never back down. We can take the punches and we'll go on. Hey Pierre, nice to see you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ariam. I tries my best, girl. I tries my best. I am sorry. Hey, Amanda. Nice to see you. Amanda Butcher, Protector NL Fishery. All right, I'm going to show you the sunset one more time. Then I'm going to take off. They got the wood cutting already. My dad is, not very steady, so sorry about that. You can pretend you had a few drinks. But my dad's be 90 in September, and he got all that wood split already. Isn't that crazy? All right, everybody. Oh, I hope you're enjoying your sunsets wherever you are, and peaceful time. And this is my studio, so I'm glad you could join me tonight. All right, all my love and respect to you. Take care, and when I get off, please share, share, share. Lloyd Parrott, just crowing about.